Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And you already know, today's been a pretty crazy day. I mean, every day in the crypto space looks like a pretty crazy day, but take a look at what happened to all these different altcoins. If you're a fan of altcoins, this is a video for you, as we're going to talk about everything that's been happening over the last 48 hours or so that's important to know. So one of those things has to do with Cardano. We have some more Cardano, some Solana, some Sam Bankman-Fried FTX news, which is interesting, some nuclear-powered Bitcoin mining center, a little bit about Ethereum, and I think you guys will enjoy this episode. But first, Cardano, let's take a look. Now, apparently, 60% of all the Cardano nodes went offline. This was a very big shocker. The entire Cardano community was just trembling in their boots for a little bit, and obviously people were quick to notice all of this. So, such transient issues, even if they were to affect all nodes, were considered in the design of the Cardano node and consensus, and so the systems have actually behaved exactly as expected, which is a little kickback to the way in which Cardano was designed to, regardless of what flaw comes along, what trouble comes along, to be resilient, basically, or most important of all, to get back from it quicker than other networks would. Block production was only briefly impacted, with a portion of the network falling out of sync for approximately before nodes restarted. And again, even though we had some issues and about 60% was just faulty for a little bit, it did not impact too much. Apparently. A few hours ago, over half of all the Cardano nodes went offline. This is why decentralization matters, as shared with the chart below, that at least 40% was still doing okay. And there was not a complete standstill for the entire blockchain. There were some delays in transactions, but this is interesting though, because usually there's not that much negativity regarding this for Solana. Oh, sorry guys, Cardano, because segue, usually these things were to happen to Solana, of which obviously the coin price is not doing so well right now because, well, FTX, which we're gonna segue into in just a second. Hence, the Solana killer, which by the way is Aptos, is doing pretty well because it's kind of taken over a lot of Solana steam. Little fun fact though, I believe when Aptos was coming up and all the major VCs here, especially in Dubai because it's a crazy place for investing, we're talking about the new rounds, two things really came up to me a lot. Aptos and SUI, S-U-I, I believe. A lot of my friends put a lot of money into that, and it was really the next big thing. It was literally the Solana killer. It really, from almost anybody that I heard, had potential to be number 8, 9, 10 or so in the rankings. The only problem is it was heavily around the Alameda system as well, and since they fell down, Aptos also had a very big hit, but the technology and the backing, it's very good. But it's kind of like the same ballpark of Algorand and Solana, where it's just major VC backed. So you know the tech is good, you know it's more centralized in its sort of nature, but you know that it's backed up properly. There's not much that's going to be quote unquote going wrong on a grand scale. Solana had issues with going down, but you know they were going to get back up and things would be fine. You know, not that much would be wrong, sort of. Again, it's like a little triangle of things, albeit that for Solana it was kind of weird that even though it's more centralized, they still had these going down issues. Anyway, Aptos has been going absolutely insane, and a lot of this has to do with the fact that Aptos in many ways is just extremely good, and that I think it might have actually been oversold a lot because there was an airdrop where people got their tokens, and because of the whole FTX situation, people were selling, but then it went down 90% or so, and people started to notice, well, but the technology behind this is actually not that bad. The backing behind this is actually very good, and it's starting to kind of pick back up steam in a similar sense as Solana has been doing, which again was heavily affected by FTX and whatnot, which is why, segue into FTX. The US feds have apparently confiscated nearly $700 million of Sam Bankman-Fried's assets. The court filings have so far disclosed only the accounts and the Robinhood shares, but apparently that's already 700 mil, which, guys, this is so interesting. Me and a couple of my friends were talking about it recently. Can you guys just imagine for a second, just for fun, imagine for a second. Why do you want to get rich? Oh, well, I don't really want to. It's just so I can give money away to people. Yeah. It's not necessarily disingenuous, because it could be the truth. But his actions reflected exactly the opposite, in a sense of, had he just done right business practices, there would not be any trouble. FTX was doing really well. Alameda was doing well. All they wanted, in my own belief, as far as I understand, is to invest more money, right? Because if the bull market were to continue on, they could turn all these crazy borrowed investments into so ridiculously much money, and it was worth the risk to them. In hindsight, was not the best choice because of proper risk management, which CZ warned us all for as well. CZ, by the way, really did poke with a little stick into that little hot air balloon that they had. I honestly believe if CZ did not say this, FTX's scam might have actually still been around. But I think for the crypto space, it was the right thing to do. I do, however, wonder where crypto would have been right now if he didn't. But I guess they wouldn't have learned the lesson, and it would have just continued on doing more and more risky stuff. And maybe eventually it would have propelled to such a height where they got so money hungry, seeing it go right again and again and again, when it would start such a big scam that all of a sudden it would be like irreparable maybe. Anyway, the repercussions are now being showcased with Sam Bankman-Fried's assets being seized completely. We're gonna still see, however, what's gonna happen to this individual. It's been interesting to kind of watch this thus far, as obviously it's going to take a long time to get this all through, but these guys are trying to figure out all the different assets that they have, like $6 million here, $50 million there, $20 million here, there. They're just looking for everything right now, which leads me again to one point. If you hold crypto, in theory, they can never take it away from you. If you have money in a company under your own name, which he did in a pretty smart manner by all these subsidiaries, his parents probably told him, it's a lot harder for them to track and take it away. But if you have it in your own name, it's pretty simple to take, which is a little side note. Not telling you guys to do any nefarious stuff. I'm just saying, hey, if you're afraid of somebody ever taking something for you in somebody else's name, crypto, it's going to be a lot harder for them to take it from you. Anyway, talking about America, which we're kind of not, but I guess, FTX, America's first nuclear-powered Bitcoin mining center. It's all the same bracket, right? To open in Pennsylvania. Interesting. With the expansion of the crypto sector, mining Bitcoin is becoming increasingly mainstream, and the construction of the first nuclear-powered data center in the US that is expected to host Bitcoin mining services has already been completed. Indeed, a zero-carbon data center manufacturer, Cumulus Data, a subsidiary of an independent power producer, Talon Energy, has completed the powered shell for its first data center powered by a 2.5 gigawatt nuclear power station. That's pretty freaking wild that they're already on this level, and the things are, guys, the game is changing so much. You don't really notice it, but really the game for Bitcoin mining and everything of that nature is changing a lot. Especially if I look back at the crypto space from 10 years ago. Guys, you can't imagine just how different things are. Talking about things being different. Take a look at Mr. Brickpants. Vitalik Buterin. He proposes stealth addresses to enhance Ethereum privacy. Proposing? He just said there's one issue that I could think of with Ethereum, which has to do with privacy concerns. And so he said, well, if we, hypothetically speaking, wanted to change something to help out with all this, we could go for something like the negative part about stealth addresses is it's really sketchy. The good part about it is really private. So you do the math on that one. Is it good? Is it bad? Depends on your perspective. I like privacy, but I don't like privacy over the fact that you can just get scammed in a lot of an easier fashion. And so I assume that the moment that this gets introduced, exchanges would opt out and say we don't accept money from stealth addresses because it's just a lot harder to see where the nefarious money comes from and goes. I've actually, over the last couple of days, been talking to a lot of OTC guys and money providers because, well, I'm in the crypto business. I like to speak to everybody. I like to understand business models. I want to learn these things, right? And even though I've been in the VC game for so many years, I understand so many aspects of it. There's still much to learn, but specifically from these big money transfers. So when people are, for example, doing $100 million transfers, more than $100 million transfers, how exactly does that all go around? What exactly needs to be in place? I've talked to many lawyers about it, talked to many money companies about it. It's just really fascinating to me. But today I talked to people that are doing, let's not say a number, but doing a lot of transfers every single day. Really amazing people, by the way. Has to do with crypto. Anyway, the point being is I asked about like safety in a certain sense. How do you know the money is safe? And it's like, well, we mostly use the systems that are out there already, a lot of which has to do with exchanges, but it can sometimes go wrong if you don't use all the tools that are out there because you don't know the guy that's opposite of you that's trying to send you crypto, for example. You don't know what's happened to it. And especially the more stealth you add to it, the more sketchy these things are going to become. And again, I'm not your financial advisor. I don't want you to place your trust in me fully, but trust me when I say that if there's a vulnerability in a system like this, people will take it with both hands and just start rubbing their face all into it. It's really wild. And so the moment that we get more privacy in this type of system is the moment we're going to see so much more nefarious action that I'm not so sure if it's smart. That does not mean that it's going to change much. I just say it makes things a little bit more easier for the everyday Joe to do. And so the barrier of entry for these nefarious acts becomes lower. That does not mean that the scammers necessarily get more tools, because in theory, there's so much crazy stuff already going on in the background. In a similar sense with cash though, or even with bank transfers, there's always sketchy stuff everywhere. I'm just saying the bar might be lowered. Not saying it's a completely bad idea either though, because there's also good applications for it. Again, what the stealth address is all about is that you basically, so if now, for example, I put a donation link down below, anybody that copies a donation link can always see how much crypto is sent there. So it's kind of like, So through this, you basically have a method to kind of hide pieces of that. In his own words, it would allow any Ethereum wallet to generate cryptographically obfuscated public addresses called stealth addresses in order to receive funds in a private manner and access them using a special code called a spending key. It's basically like you going to MetaMask and taking a new wallet every single time. It's basically something along those lines. So every single transaction you get is a new one, a fresh one, sort of something like that. So in this case here, it's a lot harder to track exactly how much money somebody's gotten or how much money's gone out. Again, you can always use mixers already like Tornado Cash. And so in theory, you're not really adding too much. You could already, in theory, always use different addresses to accept anyway, and then still mix it, for example. But I'm just saying it might make the barrier lower. You understand? And then to get back to it, there's actually one interesting thing on ADA. The Sunday Swap CTO, he actually made a little piece on how impressively resilient the Cardano network actually is. And I gotta put my money where my mouth is here by saying, indeed, Cardano is pretty solid. I make jokes about it every now and then because they're pretty slow with doing things, but I must admit, this is the first time I've seen some sort of faultiness with Cardano, and the way in which it was handled, the way the community acted and everything along those lines, it's been nothing but spectacularly good. Of course, there were negative Nancy's, there were people that were not happy with this, but I think Cardano literally picked themselves back up as soon as possible, and things were really over quickly, and things were not bad at all, and everything was just a lot better than things could have been had it been almost any other network, basically. No network restart was required. Things just kind of went on. It was slower for a little bit. It really fixed themselves so well that I gotta say I'm proud of that. And I don't want to take too much time regarding XRP. All I want to say is things are looking pretty good for XRP. That's, I think, all I have to say about it. XRP primed for bullish eruption as Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO, believes truth will come to light in the SEC case. I just want to quickly remind everybody that does not know that the Ripple case is not completely over, but there's not really any documents more coming out. We only just have to wait for the judge to make a decision, and we're expecting that to happen within a couple months from now, potentially tomorrow, who knows? I think the price is going up for that reason. People know things are looking extremely good. There's not that much to wait for. It's, from a risk to reward basis, looking pretty good. And many friends of mine in the crypto space have laughed at me for supporting XRP so much, but I think things are going to change back around. And fun fact, a lot of those guys that used to laugh at me, we had dinner, and we were just joking about how many of them have actually bought XRP as well for the just in case, because everybody's looking at it thinking, whether they win or lose is going to have a great effect on the rest of the crypto market. But if they end up winning, which there's a pretty high chance still, it's going to go pretty insane. It's going to probably take all the cryptos with it, but XRP itself will go pretty insane. And anyway, I'm a big XRP holder. I'm a big XRP believer. I think things are moving at a nice pace. But yeah, that is it for today's update video. I have a lot of cool videos coming out later. Also, some more helpful videos for all the people that are new to crypto. If you're new to crypto, though, let me know in the comment section down below, because I'm thinking of doing a couple of series just doing some simple tutorials for everybody, like a MetaMask tutorial, how that kind of works, maybe like how to use some exchanges, how to build yourself a nice little crypto portfolio, all that stuff. If you guys are interested in any sort of video, just let me know down below real quick, and I'm going to see what I'm going to build over the next couple of weeks. I just want kind of a nice little catalog of crypto introductory videos, because people ask me so many times, how do you get started with crypto? It's crazy. Anyway, just write down below what you'd like to see, and I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today. Last thing I'll say is there's always links down below. Those are my referral links. Those are basically all the websites that I personally use and that I personally think are quite nice. Links are down below because if I had to give recommendations, even though nothing is financial advice, these are the things that I would personally choose. And I've told my friends, all of these things are nice to check out. NordVPN, for example, because you need to keep yourself safe on the internet. Ledger, for example, to store your crypto on in the safest manner possible that I can think of. And Bybit is the exchange that I personally use. Sometimes I use BitGet. I use these both interchangeably. I just kind of see where the best bonus is. Right now it's Bybit, so that's the one that I think is best for people to check out. Anyway, links for those are down below. And if you also want, there's also like Telegram and Discord where I sometimes hang out. You might want to check those out too. See you guys again in another one.